get it sorted. Catflap chats. We are back again. Firstly, before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. So check out the website, catflapchats.com. You'll find all of our back catalogue, our merch, our amazing sponsors. Check out Instagram TV every morning with our little videos brought to you by JVG Group. Mark, to be fair, normally we'd be doing this in the pub, ideally, in a normal world. So I've actually got a beer. I'm going to have a beer because I have a beer every episode unless it's 8 in the morning. I know you've just finished training, so
I would have come out of a beer with you, mate.
We'll do this again in the future, mate, and we'll definitely crack open a beer or two. Delighted to have with me Bristol Rovers player, over 400 appearances in the Championship and the football leagues. I can't imagine playing one professional game and getting to that level, let alone playing over 400 times across a 15-year career. I think you just said off air then. So delighted to have Mark Little with us. Thank you so much for coming on, pal.
No problem at all, mate. No problem.
What's going on then? What's keeping you up at night? What's the world of COVID football at the moment in the professional world?
Oh, many things keeping me up at night, mate. I'd like to get a few more games for the Rovers, if I'm honest, but it's we've had a few changes of manager.
Yeah.
Bits and bobs here, there, and every COVID. There's another thing in that kind of affects a lot of stuff. So just plugging away, really. Plugging away.
What's the season been like then in terms of? I know, Rovers aren't having the best of seasons at the moment. They're flirting just above the relegation zone. But what's football like day to day for a professional footballer in terms of COVID and what you've got to go through just to be able to get onto the pitch? And that must all put pressure on actually then trying to perform on a Saturday as well.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I can't complain because there's people, you just mentioned yourself off air, like you've been locked in your house. So it's very difficult for us as professionals to kind of moan about our work, but
yeah,
it's very difficult. As you mentioned before, it's difficult enough to compete at this level. But then with certain rules now that we have to follow, it just adds to the stuff. And it's just simple things like, right, you haven't managed to get the right fitness work done today, so just get yourself in the gym and do a treadmill, top up your fitness. But you can't go in the gym because that's indoors and there's COVID. And then if you do exercise, you've got to wear a mask and all that sort of stuff. So it's just things that adds on top of it, and it makes a difficult scenario difficult again. But that's just in my world. Like everyone's circumstance is different. So my moans will sound a lot. Oh, poor him, can't get into the gym. Where I have got a lot of sympathy for people that can't even leave their house. So I could go on and moan about all the stuff we have to go through. I've just had a COVID. We have COVID tests twice a week now, so I have one of them big sticks up my nose twice a week. How my nose is still standing, I don't know, but it's still it's just a minor inconvenience compared to the bigger things that go on in this world.
Sorry. Sorry to be a pain there. When you said you had a COVID test, it kind of went fuzzy then for the next sort of 10 seconds. Can you just go through that bit again? Sorry.
Yeah, just saying we got COVID tests twice a week. So you have one of them sticks up your nose twice a week.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it's not the most pleasant thing to be greeted with in the morning. But and how my nose is still standing, I don't know. But again, it's for a bigger cause than myself. So you just get on with it.
What's it like then? Like, I watched Man United last night. Obviously, still no people in the stadiums, and I know that chatting to the rugby boys playing in the Six Nations at the moment, that crowd is genuinely an extra person at times. What's it been like adapting to not just the rules and regulations, but not having any fans there? Because surely it's weird. Surely it's off-putting.
That's the only way you can describe it, mate. It's weird. As a professional, you should be motivated enough yourself to get up for these games. But if you're completely honest with yourself, and I'm sure a lot of footballers would agree, but there would be games where you just turn up. Okay, we're mid-table. We're playing a mid-table team. We'll just go out there, do our best, and see how it goes. And then you would get a crowd in there that would give you a kick up the bum to kind of get going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just not there. Like there's nothing there. It's eerie. It's actually eerie. In a big, huge stadium with just hear your echo in your own voice. It's just weird. But again, like I mentioned, everyone should be professional enough to kind of motivate yourself for a game. But I enjoy these podcasts because you can be honest. Because I ain't gonna go. Imagine me going on Twitter saying, "Well, you can't get yourself motivated for it." But I am. I'll say it now. I think you're not being honest with yourself if you don't say that crowds make a difference, because they certainly do. They, of course they do, because the book is if you're away or at home. Others are giving you better odds at home than they are away. Why? Like you know there is why, because there's the 12th man, and so anyone that would say, "Oh, it's no different, you have to get on with it," blah blah blah, is just trying to say the right thing. But it is tough to get yourself motivated.
It's funny.
Not in every game, obviously. Maybe at the moment, for us, for example, now we're in a relegation battle. Like, we don't need fans to get us sorted. We're fighting for our lives, so that's different. But like I said, there are games where mid-table playing mid-table. We've got 2 months to go. That we're probably too far away from the playoffs and already mathematically safe. So them guys are just playing to just what are they playing for? It's odd. It's just odd.
It's fascinating. Like, I can imagine that the microphones obviously pick up on a bit more fruity language and a bit more those little one-liners that you might not hear normally. But then for someone, I can imagine that's funny, and you do get more of that, and the crowd, if it's loud, you might not always pick it up.
That's not changed. Like, the language is still the same, just the fans more. But what was it? Rashford and he was having a row with someone the other day. Yeah, the United boys were having a full-on row with each other, but genuine, like, and that made the headline press. But that was complete normal, not even just game stuff. Like, that had happened today on the training pitch. Get yourself on side. What are you on about? Effing this other? Like, that's what happens. But I think that's a good bit. I think you get to,
Amy, I agree,
to see what it's actually like. Like, that's a positive thing.
Yeah, I think, like, because I'm lucky that I get a foray into professional sports from a player's side of view, but then also I am a fan, I suppose, first and foremost. I'm not naive enough to think you're all best mates 24/7. And I think, like, in Wales the other day, Alwyn Jones had the black eye after training little scrap with Jake Paul or what. Like, that happens every week. But because you don't see it and you just see the Saturday, for example, with you guys, it's all of a sudden it's fucking big news and footballers should be role models and they shouldn't be hitting each other. And I'm like, pal, it happens. Like, I'm sure someone slides in 2-footed now and again and it all fucking goes up. Like.
Oh, of course it does. Because we're men. Like, it happens. I actually had this conversation with the boys at Rovers, because as time's getting on now, that side of football, I don't know what it's like with the rugby boys, but with the football, they're men. Let me get that straight as well. The rugby boys, they're on a different level. But I'd say in my experience. But back when I was younger, there was scraps all the time. There'd be a good, proper fist fight once a month. But that's really drastic. As I go on, that's comes away. I don't think there has been a scrap here at Bristol Rovers, which is actually surprising. And sometimes you need it. Like, it's not like you're not in dressing rooms to be best friends. You're not in dressing rooms to be best friends. But there are circumstances where you do become best friends. And I think that's what fans kind of think, that's the scenario. I had a scrap with Aidan Flint. Like, and literally from that day, we've been best mates. Because we shook hands, argument resolved, let's move on. Played in an under-23s game a couple of days ago, Wednesday. And a couple of young lads were having a squeezing match. I think a couple of them gave me a F words or whatever. We had a proper set to after the game.
Yeah.
Fine, it's gone then. By the time I got home, it's forgotten about, and then I'll come in
Yeah,
and have a laugh and a joke the next day. Because it needs that. Because if you're not having those rows, it means you don't care. Like, it means there's no passion in what you're doing. So you're not going to be at the level where you need to be. You can all faff around and just all be mates, but you ain't going to win anything doing that. I promise you that. It's impossible.
Yeah, it was good to watch the, I'd never seen him before, but the All or Nothing with Spurs and Jose Mourinho, and he drops a C-bomb in and is like, you'll never win anything because you're nice, you're not horrible, whatever.
Yeah.
And I agree, like, you need that, like, yes, be mates, even if you're not mates, all be respectful for the cause, and you're all pulling in the same way. But if it needs to get fruity and it galvanizes people, it galvanizes the team, and I suppose you're dealing in. I'm in a 9 till 5 work, in radio. It's nice, it's lovely. Those little 1%ers are different for me. They're not kicking off and they're not going wild. In your industry, those little 1%ers could be that one tackle, that one shot, that one save, whatever it is, which does bring the whole team together.
Yeah, without a shadow, mate. Yeah, without a shadow. Because I think within your industry, emotion isn't a factor. Do you know what I mean? Like, for you to deliver your job excellent, like you don't need to be emotive. Where you can get another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% out of yourself when there's emotion involved. And it's about living on. Our new manager's Joey Barton, and he used to play on the edge. That's where his zone was, on the edge. And of course, it's going to go over at some point. And I think that's the right place to be, because I'd rather be there than underperforming. That's my personal opinion. But there are people but I do understand what people are saying, where, look, footballers are role models, like people look up to them, and you don't want people behaving in that certain way. But my reason to that would be, right, sit down and explain to your children why that's happening, because they're that passionate. It means that much to them to get to the level that they're trying to perform at. It's literally life or death for certain people. That's how I would explain it, but not everyone's the same.
And you'd be the first. I know you've been victim of some social media sort of trolling, and we'll come on to that later, but footballers would be the first to be dragged through the mud if they weren't showing that they're trying on the pitch. You look at, I don't know, like, people used to go mad about Berbatov. He's lazy, he's this, he's that. Then he had wonder goal. It was all forgotten. But, people like him, when they're not scoring goals, they get dragged going, oh, they're lazy, they're not running, they're not chasing. Luke Shaw's another one, like, oh, he's unfit, he's lazy. The minute they fucking put in that crunching tackle, everyone's like, oh, it's a bit of passion. That's what we need. Yeah. Why can't you do that all the time? And it's like,
well, I think the funny thing with those two in particular, I'm pretty sure because we all wear monitors to see how far we run around. Those two will be up there. It's just how
100%.
Guaranteed, if you give a full month's diagnosis of how far Luke Shaw ran, I guarantee it'd be more than a lot of people in the team, especially in his position fullback. It'd be a lot more. So for the word lazy to get thrown around, it's just a throwaway comment. There's no weight behind it whatsoever.
It's these, and I'd love like a competition one day where you pluck out one of these armchair supporters and they come to. It doesn't have to be Premiership. It could be like National League or whatever, right? But a full training week. All their work's paid for the week, and they could train as a footballer for a week or a rugby player, golf, whatever it is, and then come away from that and go, yeah, you're soft, you're lazy, you got no passion, you're fucking shit, whatever.
Like, if I got a week in any football club, I'd be fine, I'd get through it. But if I had a week with the rugby boys, I'd be embarrassed. Like, it'd be like day 2, day 3, I'd be crawling around. And I imagine that's probably the same with golf as well, because I'm just not used to doing that. So if I had to strike 1,000 balls, I wouldn't be able to move the next day. But again, I'd never ever have the audacity to batter any rugby players or any golf players.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even dream of getting to their level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, playing devil's advocate, not the pressure is off, because obviously for Rovers You want to stay in the league, and you don't want to be in the relegation places. And actually, you want to be pushing up the league playoffs and further. And I know that you've been promoted. You've played in higher leagues. Is the pressure almost off, which helps in a sense that you don't have 5, 10, 15, 20,000 fans screaming at you because you're not quite performing as you want to be and could be, and actually it relaxes you a bit to be allowed to try and play?
I wouldn't say that, bro, because I would think your pressure and your nerves and all that sort of stuff comes in the lead up to the game. So Friday, today, and then tomorrow morning, that's when you're having the chats with yourself. I know you talk to yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to win tomorrow. We need to. It's 6 points. There's never been a game where I've been. So say we're playing a team close to us at the bottom, and you call it like a 6-pointer result. Like I'd never ever be in a game and then think, oh, this is a 6-pointer. Do you know what I mean? You're playing your game at that point. You're in the zone.
Yeah.
So it's beforehand. So I think that's before. I don't think that's got anything to do with the fans. The fans come into play when you might be you might be 90, you might be 85th minute. You give everything that you have, but we're still chasing for a goal or something, and you've got the crowd behind you, and that gives you the extra bit to run around. Or, like you say, someone puts a tackle in, and then the crowd goes up and all that sort of stuff, and it just gives the whole place a bit more electricity. So that's the little 5%, like 1% a player, and then that's a 10% a team. Do you know what I mean? It's really, that's where I would say it was. But the pressure of staying in this league is like the league sits where it is all week. It's not just Saturday 3 o'clock. It's that's where you are. Like, so I wouldn't say it lifts the pressure now.
And like, again, where you said about training ground bust-ups like have fallen in your experience in number, like, do you reckon again that's due to the fact that there's always now cameras around and social media, and I suppose clubs want to be portrayed as well as possible, even though these things do happen, and they don't want these things to happen because it's a talking point which can be twisted to the media's any move, whether you're playing well or playing badly. Like, or like, again, on the flip side of that, there is an argument. People will say the game has got softer. You look at Vinnie Jones's tackles back in the day; they're not even yellow cards. Today, you're seeing red cards for all sorts of stuff. And in football now, not necessarily rugby or anything. Like, I don't think the game. Like, I'm never going to say the game's got softer, but it's definitely, there's not as much allowance.
I'd definitely go with the latter. I'd say the game's got softer without a shadow of a doubt. I'm more of a Vinnie Jones type. That's honestly that's how I love to play the game. And I think if you're not willing, if you're not, what's the word now? If you're not brave enough to play in a game where you think someone's going to hurt me today, then I don't think you should be on the pitch. Like I know lots of people are different. Oh, protect your players. But I personally see from memory more serious injuries happening off the ball than a straight naughty tackle. Like, there are naughty tackles, but there are 90 to 100 more chances of dangerous scenarios to players. So when keepers get protected, like, even my keepers now, like, well, one of ours is a big Finn geezer, big Viking. Like, he invites that sort of stuff. So if anyone's brushing past him, the ref's blowing a whistle. And I just think it has getting softer, and everyone's getting protected so much, and I dislike it. It's really changing the way it is. Because the other thing is, even if you're not talking about nasty challenges, if you're talking about a really good timed hard tackle, like, that's a skill in itself. So if I've learned that for 15 years, and then all of a sudden now someone's just taken that skill out of my game, it's what you want about. It's like saying, oh, well, we're going to stop heading now because it hurts your head, so we're gonna stop heading. It's not for me. The game's got a bit. It has got a bit softer, and I don't think. Well, so the highest club that I played for was at Wolves when we were in the Prem.
Yeah.
I can't remember like news cameras there every day. Well, you can't have it there every day because you'd be giving away like set plays and
Tactics,
stuff like that. It would only be like on a press day, so it usually on early in the week, Monday or Tuesday. So I don't think that the tackles stop because of that. I just feel that people get protected. If I was to grab a young lad and have a good old shout in his ear, he'd get protected. I'd be told, no, Mark, you can't do that anymore because of, I don't know, I couldn't tell you, bullying or whatever it is. And it's definitely changed from when I was 17.
Are kids coming through the system now and through the academies a bit more flash and a bit softer, or do you still get those kids that are bang up hungry for it and they want to be in the mold of it? You mentioned Joey Barton just now. They want to be in the mold of that Joey Barton, making their tackles, getting their, making their getting their miles in, being horrible, annoying, nasty players on the right side of the referee.
What's that, mate? Say again. You blurred up a bit.
Oh, sorry. So like kids coming through the academies now, because kids getting into academies at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? And they just want to play football. They don't know any fucking different.
Yeah.
But because there's so much money in the game now, and again, I'm an outsider, and all I see is what the media feeds us, right? But as an outsider, you're seeing these kids now on contracts which are mental money, more than I will earn in a year. Are they coming through feeling like they've got that little bit of swag and they are protected and they can do this and they can do that and they've got beats and they've got the Louis Vuitton wash bag? Or do you still get kids that come through those academies who have grown up with nothing and their mentality is, I'm going to be the most disruptive centre midfielder this club has ever seen, and if you're in my way, I'm going to take you out, win the ball, but I'm going to disrupt everything? Like,
so what you've just described there does happen, but I completely understand why it does happen. And I think there's a way to change that, but it's always been spoke about, but it never happened. So those guys that you're talking about, they're the ones that come in on silly money. They're top boys. They're in Premiership top half. Okay, so if you're talking about the lads at Bristol Rovers where I am now, the young lads come through the academies, they won't be given silly amounts of money. So I played with Tammy Abraham. We'll talk about Tammy from when he comes out. Now, I don't think the money that Tammy's got has altered him, because he was hungry and he wanted it more than anything. So for that particular player, I don't think that affected. But there are other players that are in that scenario that might think, oh well, I've made it here. I don't have to do any work here, or and all that sort of stuff. But going back to it, I know why they do it, because if one of the top Premiership clubs don't pay that money for them, somebody else will. So we'll start losing all the talent here, and they'll be off in Spain somewhere, or they'll be off somewhere else, because you can't expect anybody. Say for example, it's a kid that's turned up in their family didn't grow up well off. They've worked really, really hard, got them to a scenario, and an owner of a football club says, I'm going to give you / your family all of this money. What are you going to say? No, I'm not having it. Like, they're gonna accept the contract, and whatever happens at that, like, if the English club doesn't give it them, someone else will give it them. Or it could be anything. If Chelsea doesn't give it, or Manchester United will give it them. Like it'll just go. They'll just go. Yeah, if Man United doesn't give it, or Man City will give it, so they'll just go across the road. Like it's always going to happen. But the suggestion with that is, right, give them a set wage to live off.
Yeah.
Have a set thing of under 18s. This is the maximum they need to play. That they get paid, and then all the bit above that, put it in a trust. Put it in a trust that they can't touch until a certain age, and then they can do whatever they want with it. Because at that point, the kids won't feel the lifestyle change.
Yeah.
The kids won't feel the lifestyle change, and they'll still be hungry. They'll still want to get to where they were, and that's how I think would be a good way of solving it. But again, we talk about this for years and it doesn't happen. So you just get lads on, just get 15-year-old kids on £1 million a year contracts. It's out of this world. But the other thing is, that's the circles that they grow up in. That's the circles that they are in as well. Because if they're expected to bond and come together with these first team players, and if these first team players are on £5 million a year, and your youth team boys are only on 20 grand a year, like, how are they even how would you be able to spend time with them? You can't spend time with them. You can't go for a meal with it, because do you see what I mean? That's probably how they describe it. So it's a horrible thing. It's part of football, and it's something it ain't going anywhere. The money's here, so it is what it is.
What's it like for a player then coming through in the literal League One level? So say there's a quality player at Rovers. What happens? Like, are they? Because again, when you hear ex-professionals or Match of the Day or on Sky or whatever, you hear the Championship and League One are, in some respects, much harder leagues to play in and to do well in than the Premier League. These kids, are they getting chances? Because at the moment, Germany, it seems like, it is taking all of our best young talent the minute that they're 50-50 with their club. And like you just said, if Newcastle, Everton, Man United, whoever aren't going to pay it, Leipzig, Dortmund, whoever will. Like, what's it like underneath that? Because everyone watches, Premiership, under that blanket of international superstars. What's the real world like in football for a kid coming through the age groups, in Championship, League One, League Two? It
still is tough. It's still the same. It's the same. Well, if you're coming through a Premiership club, you can get a lot of it's on time, and you can do all your development. You do really, really well. Get yourself new contract. Get yourself to the point. Okay, you've now earned yourself a pro contract. You could then be probably one of the best. Let's talk about my position. So right back, you could be one of the best English right backs, but Mr. Abramovich has got an unlimited checkbook, and you can go and get the best right back in the world, and then you've got to then try and get into the team there. So that's a little bit different where we are, because there is a pool of players that the scouts are looking for in League One. And yes, of course, we can go abroad and go and get international players, but there'll be a smaller pool, which gives the players a bit more chance than what it is up there. From my opinion. But then it still is the level, because the guys that are coming through the academies at League One are in League One academies rather than in Premiership ones. So they're still. It's just a couple of steps down. So they'll still be at a level, and they've got to do unbelievably well to get through the academies into the first team. But and also when you're coming for a Premiership team, if you don't quite make it a Premiership team, you might get into a Championship squad, or you might get into a League One squad. Where at League One, if you don't quite get it into a League One squad, you'd be very lucky to kind of get into a League Two, and then if not, then you're kind of looking at an alternative path there. So it might be a little bit more, like I mentioned before, not life or death, but it's either you're going to be you're either going to be a professional or you're not. So that's what I would imagine would give someone a bit more hunger down here than it was up there. I don't know. I don't know. It swings and roundabouts, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we as a punter, like, we only ever get told what the press tells us, I suppose, or see what Match of the Day or Sky tells, but no one really. I don't think it until you see those All or Nothing documentaries. And again, I'd love to see an All or Nothing documentary on a Championship team or a League One team, so you could see the difference between Spurs with the new stadium, training ground, facilities, fucking hundreds of staff, all that, versus Bristol Rovers, mate. Like,
I'd absolutely. I don't want to talk. Wow, we're going through a scenario where we're changing training grounds in the middle of a pandemic. So I completely understand it is difficult for the owners, but as you just mentioned there, we're in porta cabins at the moment. Porta cabins, and then we've got what they called those plastic festival toilets or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
That's where we are, Portaloos, and we've got 30 lads sharing two. And then there was, I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding the other week, and they got towed away. So it's like, so we're like, that's where we are. But then the funny thing is, when there's a lot, so I live in Swansea, so if I go back to Swansea and I'm with like the mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and they've introduced me to their friends, and Mark's a footballer, they think I'm in All or Nothing. They think I'm in Spurs.
Yeah, that's the problem, like.
But I'm not. I'm in a port cabin, nowhere to toilet. We've got a handyman. He's actually made us like a drain pipe that goes not straight into the local stream. That honestly, that's what we are. Well, I probably shouldn't have told you that, but yeah, we've got good old Derek. He's gave us a drain pipe shoot.
But you do all get banded with the same brush, tarred with the same brush. You're a footballer. You must be flashy. You must be arrogant. Blah blah blah. And I think it's taken some, like, you look at Rashford, what he's doing at the moment, for people to stop and go, actually, because last year the government were like, footballers should pay more of their salary into all this and that, and it's like
that was just one donut of it, mate. That was one idiot, and then he got shot down when it all got explained. But it does like that. Yeah, Mark, you should be donating all your money. I was like, what money? Like, what money? Which bit do you want me to? Which bit do you want me to like to donate? I would if I had any. Jesus.
Yeah, it's mad, man. Fair play to you. Take us back to the beginning a bit, like Wolves. Was it 2006? I want to say you were there for a good 3 or 4 years. You played, a heap of games the one season. Went on a couple of loans and stuff. What was that like for a guy? Because you're from the West Midlands, aren't you? Worcester way.
Worcester, I am. Yeah. So that was the one. That was one of the closest clubs. Whether I think Villa might have been a bit closer, or so it was pretty much close. Yeah, the closest.
Well, what's that journey like because again, I've got no clue now. I would assume it's academy from a young age and through you go. I don't know what it takes to be a professional. I've never been a professional in anything. I'm the fucking amateur as they come, right? What's that journey like to become a professional footballer?
Very touch and go in the academy. So I played for my local team in Worcester. Did loads and loads of trials. I think I recognised that I can play. Still don't know at that point, am I good enough to be professional or not? Just thought, right, okay, I'm usually, when I get put on a pitch with my age group, I'm one of the better ones. So I think, yeah, okay.
Were you a right back then?
What's that?
Were you a right back then?
Yeah, but predominantly a right back, and then I might get moved to centre back, or I might get moved to right wing type of thing. I think they tried up front, but didn't score just as many goals at the back as I did up front, so I got sent back again. Played for my local team, loads of different trials. I actually thought in my local team, our team, our youngster team, so I was up until the age of 12. We won everything, and we were the better team. So I thought that the players around me, there was 4 or 5 lads like my good mates. I thought they were better than me. I genuinely thought they were. So we all had different trials in different places. Villa, Coventry, Notts Forest, Chelsea, some other clubs, satellite clubs, and all that sort of stuff. But I actually went to Wolves on a 6-week trial. Did the 6 weeks, and they said, there's definitely some talent there, but we're not ready to sign you at that point. I think at that point there was actually 2 right backs there doing okay, if you know what I mean. So again, it's down to timing. So it doesn't matter. I could have been really, really wow in that trial, but it wasn't the right time. He said, just go away and come back. And I think in a 6-month period, and I went back again, and then at that time they were like, nah, you really are what we're looking for, so we're going to sign you. So then I signed for that, and then that was unbelievable for me.
What's your mindset then, though, when you've got sent away after that first trial and you haven't made it? Like, as a kid,
I was never like I was never, I'm going to be a footballer. I know there was a lot, like, that's what a lot of my teammates are saying, like, that's all I wanted, all I was going to be. There's a difference between wanting to be, like, I knew I wanted to be. I think every other lad in my school or class wanted to be. But there was a difference between that's all I'm doing. Like, I don't think I thought like that. I just right, well, they've offered me a trial, so I'm gonna have a right go. And then you come away, and then you've got, at the time, my academy coaches or trial, the people that took the trials or whatever, they were all saying, nah, bro, mate, stick at it, keep coming back. You've got a chance here. So when you come away, you think, yeah, I've got a chance. And I go and play for the school, and I'd captain the school, and then I'd score 8 or something from right back, and then I'd be like, well, yeah, actually, like, surely I should be, and just keep ticking along. And then when Wolves came and said, yeah, come along, so then we signed for them there. Then it just got a bit more, more of it then, because before I was just playing at school for fun, and then I trained on a Saturday and played on a Sunday, so I probably had 2 hours a week, and then whatever I did in school. But then when I went to Wolves, it was 2 hours Monday, 2 hour Tuesday, 2 hour Thursday, hour Friday, game on Saturday, rest on Sunday. So it's a little bit more serious then, and it kind of mattered. And obviously it was another standard and another load than what I was used to. And then what you do there is, every year, coming to the end of the season, your coach kind of gives you a review and tells you whether you're going to stay on or not.
Okay.
And you genuinely don't know. You don't know what's coming, because you might have a lad that's come on trial from out of nowhere and be much better than you and say, all right, see you later. And then, because that's what I would have done with someone at previous. So you just don't know what's coming. So then, yeah. And then your last year, when you're 14, 15, to go through scholarship, which is where you finish school and then you're full-time at whatever club it is, and then you'll do your education there and you get a small wage or whatever it is. So at that point, our team of, how many lads would we have? Probably 15 lads. As the season went down, the lads are saying, that your coaches are telling the lads, look, you're not going to get a contract, you're better off looking somewhere else. And then it was left went down to about 5 of us. But then you could tell that there was me and another lad that was taken out of school to play with the scholarship boys.
Okay.
So you could kind of tell, well, if I'm being invited to these sessions here, then that kind of suggests that. But still, you don't know. I'm still waiting for the phone call, and then just wait. All of a sudden, there was a phone call, and the two of us that were going, like, leaving school to train, we got the thumbs up, and then the other 3 got thumbs down. So I would have trained with or played with these lads from the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 15 of those or 10 of those would have already been told no, and then the other 3 would have said see you later. And then, to be quite honest, I don't know where those lads have gone. I don't think any of them went on to play. I think they just got a couple of them are PTs, or one of them's a roofer. But then when I got that phone call, I remember this to this day. I was at home in my front room, and my mum took the phone call. My academy director said, yeah, we're going to offer you a contract. And at that point, I felt that was right. I'm pretty sure without any bad things coming around the corner, I'm going to have a career now. So that was where it was touch and go, because you never know. You were just waiting for a phone call. Like, there's no indication. There's no like, come back for your next job interview or whatever. It was like, so now that's it. Now stop driving up the M5. Stop driving up the M5. It was stop driving up the M5 every day of your week. So that's what I was one of the lucky ones, where there's a lot that weren't, if you know what I mean.
I can imagine the numbers that fall by the wayside are in there, tens to hundreds of thousands every season. Like,
it's astronomical. So if you take a lad from school and you put them in your academy at under 9s, and then that's the youngest age group, and then every year, so you've got a squad of 12, and then every year it changes. So then you might get 4 or 5 leave, and then 4 or 5 more come, and then you do that from under 9s, under 10s, all the way up to under 15s. Just through that process, you've probably lost 200-300 kids, and they're the top 1%. That's not your school. That's like people that they think, they've definitely got talent here. They're going to be a professional footballer. They all go. So from under 9s, there was one lad at Wolverhampton Wanderers that made it all the way through and then went on to the first team. And then they picked me up, obviously, at under 13, so I was 12. So that was the lad that started at under 9s and me when I was 12 at the whole of the academy age group to get a scholarship. But you ain't even made it then. You're in scholarship then. You're basically you're basically an apprentice at that point. You're nowhere near the first team. So
is that the old YTS scheme
YTS,
type
mate,
stuff? Yeah.
It might be called something else now, but for me it was a scholarship. It was a two-year deal where I think I got £100 a week or something like that, £100 a week. And I had my bus money as well. I had £40 to get my bus pass. And then you did your full-time education there. So 2 days a week. Sorry, one full day and one afternoon where you went to college and you learned what you learned.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of age where they turn you from a boy to a man. And that's the word which I do agree with. There needs, going back to the conversation before where it was a bit nasty and it was a bit, people could get bullied or people get hard tackles, that stuff. I do think the academies need protecting. If you're a kid, like you can't be exposed to what goes on in first team dressing rooms at that age. I completely understand. But at scholarship age, when you're 16 at least, you've then got to start switching on to your next game is with someone where their mortgage is on the line and their family is on the line. Yeah. And you might be playing with probably the club's best player who's an absolute lunatic. Like, and you need to be able to respond to that correctly. You can't just be thrown from mothered and cotton wool to, right, here's Paul Ince. Do you think Paul Ince is interested about I'm homesick or I'm can't handle a hard tackle or miss? Do you know what I mean? Or can't handle a swear word? Like, he's not interested. He's just off you go, mate. So I do think there's a transition period where you do need to kind of learn your trade.
Interesting. Like it's funny you said before, like I instantly thought of Roy Keane and like how he talks about footballers now compared to when he was like at United back in like late 90s, early 2000s. And that, like,
those two had mutual respect for each other because they behave very similarly. And who could you say is the worst or the nicest? I think they're both on par, and that's who I had to deal with is Paul Ince, and he taught me so much. I was only with him a small time. Maybe it was the season before I played all those games, so I was only in with him in and out, and the amount of stuff that I taught, I was like, whoa, like I was allowed to give the ball away like last year. I can't now, because if I lose the ball at the time they were in the Prem at that point. So if I lost the ball in the Prem, 2 passes later, it's in the back of our net. So I had to learn that. And you're only going to learn that from those scenarios. You can't learn that from playing under 16.
How do you take that in your stride as a guy who is going through that academy? Because that's an intrinsic like sort of mindset. Some people will wilt at that and they'd fade away because they can't handle the pressure and it's too hot in the kitchen, you can't handle it. How did you take that in your mind, in your stride, so that actually you didn't take it personally, but you just grew with it and go, fucking right, you've had a go at me, I deserve it, but like, fuck, you're having a go at me again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's again the same. Like, if you wilt and you can't handle it, then off you pop. And then someone else who will, because there'll be a conveyor belt of players with the same similar levels of talent as yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way that I look at it. Where at the moment people are like, oh no, don't do that. Don't kick him because he's going to be really good. Like, nah, mate, not a chance. Big Ronnie, Ronaldo was the best one to look at that. Like, he came in from a completely different world where players don't get touched. And they stuck him in a dressing room with Roy Keane. It only took him 6 months, and now you can kick him over in Italy wherever he is, and he won't even register his mind. So or you can go, oh, I hurt today, or Paul shout, go and ring my mom. Paul shouted at me, like, you know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. I'll tell you a story with Paul. Right, we went. we went away for my first pre-season tour, and I was rooming with that lad I mentioned that came through the youth team with me. And he was a mischievous person. Mark Davis, it was. He had to retire. He played for Bolton in the end. He had to retire for a few injury. And Paul Ince was rooming next door, and then there was another. I think it was Alex Ray, which was another door down. Ince's big stocky bloke, 6 foot plus. Alex Ray's probably half the size of that. We'd been for a swim, so we were drying our shorts on the balcony. So the other lad, Mark Davis, thought it'd be funny to go and swap the shorts round and see what happened. So Mark Davis couldn't jump over the balcony, but I could, so he sent me. So we swapped the shorts over, and then video to wait and see what happened when Incy tried to put extra small shorts on, and vice versa. So it was a bit of a laugh and a joke. It happened. Incy lost his head. We all had a bit of a giggle. And then I think I was advised go and make an apology, and we were still saying, "Nah, it weren't us. Nothing to do with us." Where they blatantly knew it was us. And then another one of the senior lads said, "No, like we know exactly who it was. You need to go and apologise now, or you're gonna get yourself into some shit." So me and Sparky had like a bit of a room meeting, and just deny, mate. It was absolutely nothing to do with it. Weren't us. Anyway, went down for lunch, and then Incy was like, "You two are having it." And we still thought it was banter. Like we thought it was friendly, but 2 young lads joining the first team and whatever. It wasn't banter, mate. Like he was fuming. He's absolutely fuming that he thought that 2 18-year-old kids or 17, 18-year-old kids were taking the mick out of him. And
disrespecting him.
Lads thought it was hilarious. So it felt like, I imagine for him, the lads were laughing at him. So it got serious in the end. He, I won't say exactly what he did, but what happened was I got bits of my hair shaved off, so chunks here, there, and everywhere, and a big R for respect in the back of my head. He shaved my eyebrows off completely, like a day before we were away for pre-season. So on pre-season tours, the photographer's there every day, like every single day, taking a picture. But as soon as we got back, we had the team photos in. That's obviously goes up on.
Oh no!
All over Wolverhampton town or whatever. I've got patches out of my head and no eyebrows. So I ended up having to shave it all off. I looked and Sparky exactly the same. We got beat up, proper beat up as well. But I won't go into details of that because it'll upset some softies. But we got beat up. Now, what that did was I learned that day. I learned show some respect for your elders. Not only your elders, show some respect for someone who's been in the game to the highest level and
done it all. Like,
and at the time we thought it was a little bit of a joke, but when we look back at it, it's like, nah, what have we actually done now? That is absolutely like crazy. Now I learned scandalous, yeah. Paul Ince, like I could have done it to anyone. I could have done it to any like. Could have done it to one of the young lads and it had been funny, but I did it to Paul Ince. It was like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and I got everything I deserved. I learned, and then again, what I actually did was I took the beating, black eyes, whatever else, and then the lads could recognise that. Do you know what? Like he's took it on the chin. I haven't gone off crying. I haven't gone off like reporting it to the media, or I haven't like gone to HR and said, "Oh, I'm being bullied" or whatever. I got what I deserved. I recognised that, took it on the chin, and then every time I go and play with these people now, they know full well that if we're going to war, which is like happens every single Saturday afternoon, they can count on me to get through it, because I wouldn't want that. If I had a set 2 with the person that was playing next to me, and I need to trust that person with my mortgage, my life, like for my kids, do I want the person that can man up and deal with it, or do I want the person that's like, "Oh, Mark kicked me once," like, nah, like I can't deal with it. So I think, but that was years ago. That was 20 years ago.
And that's the thing. That's a different world where I look back. Like I didn't play to your level at all, but I did bits and bobs. And like again, you didn't show respect. You'd get rinsed in the changing room, or you'd get, for us, like because it was amateur and Saturday in the rugby club, for example, I'd get rinsed having to do drinks after, and I'd be spewing, and all the old guys be laughing. But I've learned my respect and earned their respect then as well.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that nowadays people can get away with doing it now because someone would go to Twitter, Instagram, the media, and go, there's a bad culture of bullying, and like I don't know if it's right or wrong.
The word bullying, like, listen, there will be somewhere a circumstance where some dressing room where somebody has been bullied, and that's awful. Like that, that needs to be stopped. And if I ever saw that in any dressing room, genuine bullying, like, it just wouldn't last with me. But I'll be quite honest, for every dressing room I've ever been on, I can't recognise any. I couldn't tell you now anyone who's been bullied. Like, of course, there's been set twos, there's been arguments. Of course, that person doesn't like that person, so you don't room them together, or you don't sit them next to each other on the bus. But like you said, they've all got respect for the same cause. So just sit him on that side of the dressing room, and sit on that side of the dressing room. But there's never been a scenario where there's been a group of players that have had it in for another person. It's never happened. But for people that stay outside of it, or for someone who whines and oh, this person said this to me, and then goes out and reports it to someone, gives the whole club, dressing room, football society the bad rep it gives them a bad rep. And I'm thinking, I've never seen that. I've never ever. But going back to what I first said, it may have happened, and I don't condone it whatsoever. But what I'm saying, I've never seen anyone get bullied to the extent where, you know what? And the other thing is, if something does happen unacceptable, that usually gets resolved in the dressing room, where a group of lads would say, hold on a minute, mate, what you did here in that scenario to that person, that's unacceptable. Like, you can't do that, like, blah blah blah, and then it would get sorted within the dressing room. So that's why you don't get full access from the press and all that sort of stuff, because people will take it the wrong way. And then when press people don't get the full access, then they make up their opinions, and it's absolutely crazy. And then obviously those two things there are a mixture, for a recipe for disaster, really, which is why I love the all or nothings, because there's the Sunderland one was unbelievable as well. Like, really,
brilliant.
Was
really,
that
really good.
all or nothing, or was that just
no? That was Sunderland Till I Die. That was Netflix, I think, who done that. But the all or nothings are on Amazon, I think.
Leeds has done one. My pal Luke Aylin's on the Leeds one. He absolutely loves it because he's on the team. It's brilliant. But it's that's another one, insight to how things work, and you don't get the really underneath stuff, but you get a very good insight of actually.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it gives people an insight, and again, like, it gives them an insight away from match of the day, or even if they might go to the game, they might go to every single game every Saturday, season ticket holder for Rovers for 20 years, right? I don't know. But it gives them an insight that they'll never have seen before, even if it's not because you don't want the full true story, because you lose that mystique, and like you said, tactics and all this kind of stuff like that. What the Spurs one shows is Mourinho is there to win, and you're either on board or you're not. And like when he calls out Dele Alli and goes, "You're a lazy," he's obviously, Dele Alli have obviously had an issue over the last however many months, but Dele Alli is now playing more. So as a professional, he's obviously fucking taken it on board and gone, all 100%. Right, I'll work on it.
100%. He's had to, since that conversation, he's had to improve as a player without a shadow of a doubt. So for me, that's great coaching, isn't it? Like, if you didn't have that chat, then he wouldn't be performing to the level that he is now, in my opinion. Anyway, so, and then what was the other one? He had a was it Danny Rose? Danny Rose went in there saying, went in and say, like, it happens, absolutely happens, because Danny Rose wants more than anything to play for his club.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have emotion. He's got, like, Mourinho didn't take it to heart and be like, "Oh, Danny shouted at me." Like, no, that's what happens. Emotions.
But there's still normally sensible conversations with. It is emotional, but it's almost backed up with facts from either side. So it's business. It's not personal.
Yeah.
And that's what people, I
Wish I
think,
run a
forget
business where
sometimes.
people having scraps in the office every day. I think it'd be like, because they care about it. It'd be incredible.
Oh, I've had, do you know what, right? I've never told anyone this, but there was a woman who used to work for us. She was older than me, but she was like an active woman, you know, fit in the gym, strong girl, like. And once I lost it. I can't remember what for, but I fucking lost it. And I stood up, and I'm a 6'1", 18 stone guy. Like I'm a bit of a lump. And she went to the boss and was like, I felt threatened, but I'm like you. I walked out the door. I fucking went on a meter. I went home or whatever I did. Next day it was done. Didn't care. Fucking done, right? And the argument came from, we could have had an early finish if we brought some X number of clients in, billed X number of money, and made enough meetings for the following week to have a good week, you know? And I hadn't made my meetings, but I was the only one in the team who had billed all the money. So she's like, at 3 o'clock on 10 o'clock on a Friday, like, have you made your meetings yet? Have you made? And I'm like, fuck off. I'll do it. I'm not going to let the team down. I'll do it. 11 o'clock. Have you done it? Fuck off. 12 o'clock then, I've lost my head. Fuck, why don't you bill some fucking money? Blah, blah, blah. But I forgot that I am fucking miles bigger than her.
Yeah.
But we had that dust up, and then we laugh about it now, like.
Yeah.
But we were all. It brought us together in a way that we're all in the same team. I passionately care.
Yeah.
And so it does happen. I've never had a proper dust up in the office. I'll be sacked like HR, but
Yeah. It's mad,
it is mad. Like, you know, at what point, you know, you talk about people like Paul Ince and Wolves, and you've played for some class clubs. Like, at what point did you look at that and go, I've made it, but I am a professional footballer now. This is me. This is set for life. Touch wood, barring injury type thing, you know?
I don't think I've had that. I don't think I ever had that chat, mate, because you can't. My longest contract I've ever had was 3 years long. So at the end of that contract, you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's coming. So I don't think I've ever had that chat, but I did get to the point, I'd say, in the middle of my career, and thought, I think my nerves kind of went a little bit, because when every game I played for Wolves, I knew if I didn't play well this game, like, I could be out again, and all I've played is 10 games for Wolves, and then I could be the end of my contract, and then that's the end of it. But maybe once I'd done, I don't know, 200 odd games and I found myself at Peterborough, I kind of had a reputation of, okay, he can play there. So my confidence came where, okay, if it didn't work out at Peterborough, I could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I never realized, never thought, oh, I've made it. Do you know what I mean? I never.
Yeah.
So I still haven't made it, mate. I still got a few bits to do. Like,
still got a graft.
Yeah, like what's the difference? Okay, okay, maybe you might say, oh, made it as a footballer because I played a few games or whatever, but that isn't what I'm here for. I didn't ever. Well, I did start when I was at school to be a footballer, but I came here to accomplish a few things, and I haven't finished that yet. So I'm still chasing things.
Like with Wolves, Premiership and Championship, and then, like, you know, you went on loan, Northampton, I think Chesterfield, Peterborough, and then from there you obviously went to Peterborough. What's that mindset like, where you are at an established Championship, striving to be Premiership club in Wolves, and they were in the Prem at that point for a bit, to then come down to League One and to almost earn your stripes again? And my phone's going again, sorry. Fucking goes up now. Busy man, see. And to have to almost earn your stripes. I know that Peterborough, you got promoted into the Championship, so that's like phenomenal. But what's the mindset like? Because again, I can imagine from what the press tell us about footballers, and I say that with inverted commas, that they wouldn't like that, and that's a hit on the ego, and you know, it's tough to try and deal with that. You seem to have kind of taken it in your stride and gone, 2 fingers to everyone, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna win in this situation.
Yeah, I suppose that was how I looked at it. Yeah, because So I was playing regularly in the Championship for Wolves. So I kind of worked out then that I could play at that level, and I was comfortable with that. And then the reason why I left Wolves is because they went up another level. They went to the Premiership, and again, like I mentioned, it's a difference between I'm competing with local lad. Well, I was competing with, when I got my debut, it was Dennis Irwin was the right back that was kind of disappearing, but I don't know, he was 37 or something like that. So, and I was 17, and so it was slightly different. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
Dennis can't play 40 games a season because of obvious
Yeah.
So I kind of thought, right, well, I had a chance here. But when you got to the Premiership with, again, a limited checkbook, they could have gone all wherever to get it. So, and it turned out I wasn't going to get many games, or if any, in the Premiership. So it was then, right, try and find yourself a Championship club. And at the time, it was a lot. There was a lot of politics going on, a lot of politics, because I had offers from a couple of clubs in the Championship, but Wolves didn't want me going there. So it was kind of, they were going to try everything to stop me from going there. So then towards the end of that season, I went on loan to Peterborough.
Yeah.
So I didn't go on loan. I didn't go to the clubs that were fighting for promotion with us, because it'd be stupid from Wolves to be lending their players to people that thing. So I didn't go there. So I dropped down I played for Peterborough, that were at the bottom of that league, because they obviously weren't competing with Wolves. And I got comfortable there. I loved it there. Like, I went there, hit the ground running, and loved it there. And then when the end of the season did come, and it was, right, Mark, you're definitely leaving Wolves, now go and find a club. Those clubs that were offered earlier have now disappeared. I didn't have any offers in the Championship at that point, but I had a few in League One. But I knew with what we had at Peterborough, there was a very good chance we were going to come straight back up.
Yeah.
So I signed, and at that point as well, what I needed to was learn my trade. I'd only played like 30 games, so I needed to go and learn. Now, do I go to another Championship club and maybe get another 10 games that year? But I was advised, which was a brilliant advice, was go and get some games and learn your trade. And that's exactly what I did at Peterborough, luckily. And I ended up playing over 150 of them for me.
Yeah.
150 for them. And the first year we got promoted. So it was a little bit like, it wasn't so much prove that you can play at that level, because I knew I could. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone, really. But I went down to Peterborough because I knew didn't know, but I was quite confident that we definitely have a good chance of coming straight back up.
Yeah.
Not only then would I be a young lad getting his chance now and again, I'm pretty sure that I've been a big part of a promotion, and then a big part of the team that stayed in the league the next year as well. So I didn't. Obviously, did I want to be in and around it in the Premiership with Wolves on huge wages? Of course I did. But was that the best thing for my career at that point? No, it wasn't. So I am quite glad that I had good advice around me, and went and did the right thing.
Where does that promotion sit in terms of your football career, whether it's your Premiership debut, other games that you've played? Like, where does that sit in terms of, if you were to look back in your career now and kind of go, there's the top 3 moments, shall we say, what would they be?
What would be my top 3? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
The significance would be probably with Bristol City when we won the league, because that's probably the biggest accolade that I kind of earned. So that's probably number 1. Then I'd probably say it was we won the Johnson Pate Trophy with Peterborough and Bristol City. So those two are on par as well, at like a joint second, because that's a cup win. So that's quite a bit. And then the third one would be the up through the playoffs, from League One, the age that I was, the amount of games that I played, like the part that I played in that team.
Yeah.
And actually, what we had in that club, it wasn't like we didn't have a team. Well, it turned out we did, but at the time we didn't have a team full of superstars. We had a team full of, without being rude, we had a team full of nobodies that came together and got promoted into the championship. But those, like that group of players now, like a good 90% of us they did go off to be superstars. Do you know what I mean? And after earning the stripes there. So yeah, I'd probably say it's definitely in the top 3. Such a long time ago now, and it doesn't get asked about quite a lot because of all the other different bits and bobs that I've done. But yeah, of course, like it was a huge achievement in my career.
Especially so young as well. Like you mentioned Bristol City there, and obviously you've won the league there and played for, is it the Robins, isn't it, the Bristol City? I know you didn't go straight from Bristol City to Rovers. You obviously played for Bolton, which again, I was looking through the leagues yesterday. So I'm from Plymouth originally. I moved up to Cardiff when I was 18. So back when I was growing up, Plymouth were in the one year they were 1 point off the going up automatically, and they didn't end up getting promoted in the championship.
Plymouth, when I was younger, were always
mate.
Champ. They were always champ, shooting up for the Prem. So in my head, I know it's weird. Like people who started supporting football at this moment in time would look at football completely different to what I did. Now Plymouth, if someone says Plymouth to me, I think, wow, like they're
big club.
They were a big club, mate, and they still are a big club, but they were, for me, always.
So they were. So they are the biggest city never to have a Premiership football team. Hull were, and then Hull obviously got promoted. Yeah. But the year Plymouth didn't go up, which was their best chance, they had players like Akos Buzaki and a few others who then got signed by your QPRs, your Hull Cities, who did go up.
Yeah.
And then Plymouth struggled, and now they find themselves obviously trying to battle back up again. Like you went from Bristol City. Bolton. So Bolton is a massive club. And again, when I was a kid, your JJ Kochas, Ivan Campo, and people like that. Like, what was it like going? And I appreciate I've just kind of overridden Bristol City here, but I'm going to come back to that because you've played for City and Rovers, which I can't imagine a lot of people do. What was Bolton like? Because that is, if you were to ask a traditionalist, I suppose, they should be up there in the Premier League, top of the Championship, in the Premier League every year. Like, what was that like playing for a club with such history and heritage, but not doing so well at the time?
Yeah, it was an absolute honour to play for a club of that stature. It was an honour, but if I'm on, it was disappointing when I got there because they weren't the team that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Now you can get over that. Like I didn't go to play for Bolton to play in the Europe winning teams or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go to play. I went there to play in a championship team.
Yeah,
that's what I went to do. But I had a bit of a bad time there for whatever reason or whatever. So it turned out that my experience there was a bit disappointing. But that's quite raw for me now. It was only a couple of years ago. But I know for a fact when I do hang up my boots and I'm telling my son who I played for, like Bolton is a big one that sticks out as like a huge club that I was on it, that had the honour of playing for.
Yeah, that's guys like you think of like when I used to get the manuals, you know, like the 92-93 season, 94-95 season and stuff. And like Bolton would always be for that the early Premier League years, and as I was a teen, they were always up there. Like so,
they were in my, again, like you say, from my age. If you ever said Bolton, it's Premiership. They're a Premiership team.
Mate, JJ Kocher straight away. It's the first thing.
Absolutely tearing things up. It was
so good. Like what was obviously Bristol City, and you had some success there, and then after Bolton, you've gone to Bristol Rovers. Did you get much flack? Did you get much shit like crossing the border?
I didn't, mate. No, I didn't. I got a load of kids who thought, oh, I can give him some abuse. Nothing worth even worrying about. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting a lot. So I roomed at Bristol City next to Matty Taylor. Now Matty Taylor went from Bristol Rovers to Bristol City straight away. He went for he kind of went. There was a clause in his contract where they got him near enough for pennies as well. So it wasn't a very nice move. Say for example, the amount of abuse that guy got. Honestly, it's been the worst I have ever seen. Like death threats, people knowing pointing out where he lives, and just pure horribleness from that. That was what I thought I was going to get. I was worried, but no one's bothered about Mark Little. It's more about Matty Taylor who'd scored all their goals. But yeah, and then we played Matty. Was it last year? Yeah, last year at home when all the fans were there, and that was the most toxic atmosphere. It weren't even about the game. It was just pure abuse to one player, and it was horrible. It was. But he's such a good lad. Like he just takes it on the chin. He did what he did for his family, and I'm pretty sure if you looked at the financials with it and the opportunity with it, I don't think there's many people that wouldn't do the same.
Is there support?
I can only assume. I don't know the actual figures, but I can only assume that he would have sorted his family out from playing from playing lower league with Rovers for years and years and years, playing extremely well, scoring loads of goals. I don't imagine his family would be financially secure, but then when he went to City, I'm going to guess that he probably did. He probably sorted that out where he probably don't have to work again now. So if anyone in the area of Bristol had that choice, I know they're sitting here saying, no, I wouldn't. I'm blue, I'm red or whatever. But if it comes down to it, I'm pretty sure they'd make I'd say 95% would make the same decision, and the fair play to them.
And for me, two things on that. The thing that I've had this argument with a rugby player who's played for Wales and the Lions, and he was injured at the time. He was playing in another country. He was back in Cardiff, and we went out for a beer. He was actually sober, and some guy came up to him steaming and was like, "You're a disgrace. You know, you've gone to another country, so it's going to ruin your Wales chances." Blah blah blah. And this player was like, "Fucking hell, like whatever, like chill out, man. Come on." And I was like, "Mate, what do you do?" And he was like, "Oh, recruitment or whatever." And I said, "Right, wicked. Your company buys another company, or there's another company in America, and they offer you twice as much money to do the same job, but you can live in Newport Beach and you can recruit from there and you can live that life for 3 years and it'll set you up for a good old life. Like, would you take it?" And he was like, "It's different." I said, "Why is it fucking different? Like, it's a job. It's a job that this guy goes to work for every day and actually puts his body on the line. Unlike us, we pick up the phone and we fucking visit clients. Like, do you know what I mean? And people don't get it in their mind. It's a job. Like, it baffles me sometimes that I do understand the tribalism. I completely get it.
Yeah.
And there are probably some divides you shouldn't cross, you know.
Yeah.
Tevez, Man City, Man United, and just things like that. Like,
I looked at it a different way, and maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But I came to Bristol, and Bristol were a League One team without a shadow of a doubt for 2-3 years previous. And I looked at the city. So I'm from Worcester, it's up the road, and I thought that Bristol deserved not only one Premiership club. I think there should be at least 2 Championship clubs fighting for the Premiership. One of the clubs should be on there for the size of the city, the size of the support, size of the clubs, the finances at both clubs. I think it's absolutely crazy that they aren't in the position of at least one in the Prem. Yeah. So I came to Bristol. So I came to Bristol hoping that I could achieve success for Bristol at the red side, which I went and did, and it was one of the best times in my career. And I think, although I did have a bit of shit towards the end, like the last couple of months of my contract or whatever, because it was pretty obvious that I'll be leaving. Although I had a bit of crap at that point, the other 2.5 years of my contract was still the best times that I've had. So I went away, went to Manchester. All the fans still like me, buzzed off me, no problem. Loads of support, all the best, Mark, up at Bolton. You've done your shift, you've done your 3 years, brilliant. then I'd done that at Bolton, like I said, it didn't go well at Bolton for many different reasons. So then I'm away in Manchester, away from all my family or anything like that, up completely different side of the world. And then the opportunity came to come and do it again for the same sort of scenario, just a different coloured shirt. Do you know what I mean? That a different badge. What I imagined was, okay, there are going to be red side that are going to be disappointed that I've gone over, but listen, I gave them 3 years of my life. I did my best, and we achieved what we did. So that, unfortunately, they're just going to have to deal with that. And I thought, I'm going to get a lot of shit from the blue side because I've played for the red side. But once I play, once I give everything for the shirt, once I give them blood, sweat, and tears, and put my body on the line, they'll work out that actually this guy isn't a C word or whatever. That's just a traitor or a snake or whatever it is. He's someone that genuinely cares. And that's what I came to do. I wanted to come and replicate what I did over at the red side. Ain't quite worked out that way at this moment in time. We're actually fighting for relegation rather than getting promoted into the champ. But you can't. I haven't got that much of a. I haven't got a genie or anything like that. I can just do my best.
It's you need everyone to pull together, and I suppose like football's a funny old thing. 3 wins on the bounce, 4 wins on the bounce, 4 wins and a draw. And you're back in the top half fighting for playoff again normally, in these leagues. So
we're not. Yeah, we're no problem whatsoever. We've had, I think COVID's played such a part, and just the fact of changing managers, that doesn't help anyone. Just unsettling the team. We've had 3 different managers. I've had 4 since I've been here. I've been here 18 months, and I've had 4. So that is tough on a club, because they've probably got a plan to do, but then that alters every time you change the manager. So it is,
and it costs spenny as well then.
Oh, of course it does. But listen, we got the right man at the helm at the minute. It ain't going to take long till it gets solved, I promise you that. But
so on that, so 2 things I know. I appreciate I'm taking a bit of your time here. Like 2 things I want to sort of talk about. You've mentioned a lot about in the last couple of convos about taking shit and obviously the tribalism and stuff. I know you've recently just had some shit on social media and racism, and it's something that's prevalent in football at the moment, unfortunately. And everyone's taking the knee, and I've seen arguments on both sides. It's diluting the message. It's not doing anything anymore. But then more needs to be done because these things are still happening. And I know, am I right in saying that under one of your, and I hope you don't mind me saying, under one of your pictures on Instagram, someone put a load of monkey emojis, or was it Twitter? One of them, wasn't it?
Instagram, that was, yeah.
Yeah, like after everything you do for a club, and you might lose every single game, but you still put in 90 minutes, you still train however many hours a week you train, you still make sacrifices that we don't see behind the scenes. And I don't know what it is, but the assumption is you're all privileged to play football. Like, what goes through your head? Because you seem quite a level guy. The highs don't take you away too far, and the lows you kind of take when you stride and take them with you, and you get on with it. But that is different. How did that make you feel? And like, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask here, but what the fuck happened?
I felt the same, mate. I felt the same. I literally looked at my phone and went, fuck is this? Like, what is this? That's where I was with it. It wasn't
like, did you laugh? Did you get angry?
I didn't let it, mate. So you everyone's got a choice. You genuinely have a complete choice of how you want to react to that. I don't think there's you have a choice. I was walking down the beach with my family, and I see him. We pretty much have Sunday to be able to do have a full day together. So so I'm not going to waste my one Sunday that week having a row on my phone. Do you see what I mean? Or causing any bother. I didn't even tell the missus till we got home. I just got on with it, enjoyed my day, and then went home and kind of dealt with the situation there and then. But the other thing is about just energy. I've only got a certain amount of energy, and I can't give it trying to figure out what somebody who isn't mentally stable. I can't figure them out. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got enough time in the day to try and work out someone whose brain isn't connected properly. Do you see what I'm saying? I just have to just leave that over there and do the best that I can this side. I think that particular scenario, I don't know, like they're on about like education and more punishments and all that sort of stuff. But there are people out there that you're never ever gonna help, and eventually they'll die. So just leave them alone. We just need to do as many. There are people that do need educating, who I genuinely have sympathy for, because they don't know what they're doing is wrong, or they're not even aware that they are doing things wrong, or they are offending people. So those are the ones that I haven't got a problem. It doesn't have to be nasty. I never ever want it to be horrible, but just educate them and just say, look, like, you can't say that anymore, or that will offend people, or do you know what I mean? The ones that are just that geezer there over in an Eastern European country just posts that and then disappears for a weekend. Like, if that's how they get their entertainment, I haven't got enough time in the world to kind of educate that person or even find that person or whatever. So it's over there. But I think with the knee, it's like raising awareness for the conversations to happen to try and help the scenario. So anything that raises awareness, you can't just forget, you can't just not talk about it. You can't just pretend that it doesn't happen and it's like an elephant in the room and no one talks about it, because nothing will get solved. It just won't get solved. So unfortunately, there's going to be opinions on whether it should be doing, but what's the I don't understand the problem. How it didn't even take it. It takes what, 2 seconds out of your day to watch someone go on their knee. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's mad. Like, you see it on social media, and for my sins, I'm in various different groups because that's how I promote the podcast on Facebook and stuff. And you see people, you know, in rugby where they're taking a knee, for example, and then you look at, well, the BLM protesters, they caused all this trouble and it's like, well, that fits your narrative, and it probably says more about the person who's saying some of these things. And look, I've got family members. My girlfriend's Irish, right? She's from just outside Cork. We've had some conversations where, you know, there's members of my family that I love them to bits, but their views on, you know, certain politics or, you know, racism or whatever, like, they're not the view. And like, I can't even be bothered to entertain the situation now to try and educate them, because they are 70 or whatever.
You won't be able to stop
anyone. They're not going to change their views now because I've said something. No. What I will try and do is educate my 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah, 100%.
And this week, you know, this is probably going to go out towards the end of the month. So it's the middle of March now. You know, we've just had a week where it was International Women's Day. Piers Morgan has quit. Meghan Markle interview that Sarah was found murdered walking home, and social media, rightly so, has hopefully showed its support in the majority. But you still get minorities then going, she shouldn't be wearing this, she should have got attacked. And I was like, no, you're missing the point. And all I can do, I suppose, is try and educate my daughter to be.
I think that is, you've hit the nail on the head, mate. It is we're not going to solve racism tomorrow. It's a generational thing. And if we are having these conversations, and people are growing up, working out, I'm talking about myself, you and myself, to understand the scenario, to then go and teach our kids, then hopefully the next generation is got rid of the ones that I just mentioned, the special ones that are going to die anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the way that it is. And it's going to be hard work. It can't just be, did anyone think we were just going to take the knee and then it's going to disappear? Like, no, I don't think that's what the knee's, I don't think that's what the knee's for. It's to start conversations and have these conversations. I am having so much more. I've moved to Swansea to move with my Welsh wife. And I've been pretty much integrated into her community, right? And it's predominantly white. I live in West Wales out there. She works. I don't even think there's any other ethnic minorities out there. I think it's just me and my little boy who's slightly tanned. Like, that's what's out there. So I am in those circles, and I love every one of these people, whether it's her family or friends that she's introduced me. I love them to death, but they have questions because they never have anybody to ask the questions to. So I have questions, and polite as they are, and look, Mark, I don't want to cause any problems, but you see this scenario.
Yeah.
Am I okay to do that, or is that going to offend someone? And then I can help them. And I've done it since I've been there over 5 years now, and
yeah,
I don't mind having those conversations, but it helps it, and it helps scenario, because if I didn't turn up, they'd still be like Neath, for example. They're still in the past. You go in there, it's like 10 years behind. So it's
yeah,
it's tough to go into that kind of scenario, but it's the only way that it's going to be. You need to help and do your best, and you're not a one-man army. You need a lot of. It needs to be a big wave of help, if you say, a progression to move forward. So that's how I do my part. You're not going to do your part by saying, "Oh, don't worry, let's just forget about the knee now. It's like it's not working anymore." Like, it's not for me. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that for me. It annoys me when we had a game this year and I was like, "Are we going to do the knee?" And the ref was like, "Oh, it hasn't been spoke about before the game." And I was like, "What is it? Is it going to like? Is it going to alter anything? Like, if you take out 3 seconds of the day, like, I don't think it is. I think all it's going to do is help fucking racism." But anyway, it's not my game to ref.
It's one of those things that it's not going to go away tomorrow, but more definitely does need. I don't have the answers. I'm sure you don't have all the answers, but more does need doing.
I think if we did have the answers, it wouldn't be a problem. But there's not any answers.
I think, again, I don't know what it is, whether the authorities are too scared to make really drastic change or what, I don't know. But I feel more needs to be done and educate. In the last few weeks, I've spoken to Jess Fishlock. I don't know if you know her. She's most capped Welsh footballer, about being a high-profile gay athlete. Like, I've learned so much in the last couple of months just talking to these people about these situations they're finding themselves in.
100%. How would me and you know how a gay person felt in certain scenarios if we don't have these conversations? Or should we just like pretend that isn't happening and just shy away from it? I don't agree with that at all. Like, it's these conversations I need to have, especially on podcasts when you got lots of people listening, because it can trigger certain people's minds. It's fantastic. Like,
I hope so. I've seen you on.
I'm a footballer. You do your radio stuff and your podcast. Like, it's not your job to solve society. Like, there's people in place who get paid serious amounts of money to make these decisions, to make these changes. Are they doing it? Don't think they are, mate. So what are they doing? That's where my anger is directed to.
Yeah, and that's a question I suppose we've all got to maybe be a bit more accountable. But it's very easy for the Joe public to brush it under the carpet if it doesn't affect them day to day.
Yeah, 100%.
It takes a lot of us to come together. Hey, look, mate. Just before we shoot off, you mentioned Joey Barton a couple of times. What's it like having him as a manager now?
Honestly, he's blown me away. Like, I've got a lot of mutual friends, and they've all said the same. He comes with a reputation, obviously, but they've all said the same, that he's absolutely top bloke, very football man, so very intelligent in the football world. And his man management skills are good, which you wouldn't expect that when his reputation precedes him. Do you know what I mean? So he has actually blown me away. He's been here 3 weeks now or something like that, and he hasn't done anything that I disagree with. Do you know what I mean? Everything that he said, I completely understand and I completely agree with. But never know, like, how short his fuse is, the old boss. I can't wait for him to lose, actually. There are some people in here that need to kick up the bum, I'll tell you that now, and I'm looking forward to
it. There probably is in every organisation. That's the thing. Like, if you were to take away football and it was just a job and it's just a business, it happens every fucking day. But because it's Joey Barton, it will make the press. It will 100% make the press.
I don't know whether that warrants it. Honestly,
no, I agree.
It's but yeah, I can't wait. It might be me, so you might have to. I might ring you. I might ring you back and have a conversation. But no, I am gutted him here. I'm buzzing that he's here. I'm gutted that scenarios previous isn't that I'm not in his starting 11. That's the only regret at this moment in time. So hopefully
change that as quickly as we can, and then we can move on from there.
Good man. Hey, look, I appreciate your time, pal. I'm fascinated. I could sit and chat to you over a beer for fucking hours about all sorts of stupid shit, like what's transfer deadline day like, and what's transfers like, and different coaches, players, and all that stuff. But look, we'll catch up again sometime, pal. Just want to say a massive thank you to Tiny Rebel Brewery because they give us a couple of beers every episode. Big thanks to everyone that's downloaded, subscribed, rated, and reviewed. Everyone who visits catflapchats.com, it's where you'll find all of our back catalogue of our podcast. You'll find our merch on there, all our amazing sponsors that we work with and partners. Check out our Instagram TV every morning just for little videos from all of our guests with a little bit of morning motivation brought to you by JBG Group Electrical. Mark Little, absolute pleasure, pal. I fucking love that. Thank you, mates. I hope when you're over this neck of the woods in Swansea, I'll venture down west from Cardiff, mate. It's only an hour, and we'll.
When we're allowed these beers, mate, we'll be having it. Especially sponsored by some beers, and I've had a mug of water, mate. What's going on?
Hey, look, I'll bring you a crate of Tiny Rebels down, pal, and we'll kick back and we'll have a couple and have a chat. All right.
Brilliant, mate. No problem at all.
Thank you so much, mate. You look after yourself, look after the family, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Ciao, buddy. Take care.